Zach Allen, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, I'm not Joe Rogan and you're not on a bunch of movies. So I always feel like I got to introduce everybody's name and kind of who they are for first. But we've been working together for a while now on a whole lot of fronts. One of the reasons I wanted to bring you on today is I put a post out a while ago about Lead Fuel, which is a new company that I've got a lot to do with that is going to start creating annuity leads at a fraction of the cost of what the marketplace is at. And you and some of your associates are phase one test pilots.
Yes,
And
sir.
so let's just give the audience the hook. So I think the word is so give them the hook in the beginning so they'll listen for another 5 more minutes and kind of tell me your experience with it so far. And obviously, small sample size. We just started getting leads about seven
Week.
days ago.
I was thinking about a
Yeah.
week ago.
So let's talk about that for a minute, and then we'll do reverse order and give a little more background on you so people know who you are. And I want to talk just in general today. I want to talk about leads and prospecting and how we're getting in front of people. But how's your experience been so far with the Lead Fuel annuity leads?
So far in 7 days, and keep in mind, I know our ad spend is low and it's going to increase as we ramp this up. But in 7 days, I've received 5 leads, three of which engaged immediately. I ran 2 appointments, and then the third one texted me through the system and told me exactly what he wanted. So out of 5 leads, there's $850,000 on the table right now to be closed.
Did you, and I know Josh has got a little bit, he's had a little bit more luck. My purpose, first of all, I know from a pricing standpoint, I'm going to put everybody out of business because we're literally 20%, 25% the cost of the rest of the market with them. But it didn't do any good if the quality of the lead isn't good.
Right.
So you've got how many total? You've got five? Okay. How many of those five were crap? How many of those five didn't know who you were or why you're even on the phone with them?
First of all, out of the 5, I haven't had to pick up the phone and dial a lead. They all automatically booked, so that's huge. As far as crap, absolutely none of them. There's 2 in there that the system's still calling for me and texting, trying to get, but that's nature of leads. I didn't have to do anything for the other 3.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. And obviously, this sounds like this a prop that I'm setting you up for all these answers. But I'm glad you said that because that is the beauty of it. The beauty of it is you don't have to do anything except talk to qualified prospects. I mean, that's the
Yep.
vision of it. The leads generate themselves. We've got a AI software system that does all of the follow up to the point where they get them on your calendar or live transfer them to you. If they don't show up, all you have to do is disposition them, and then the AI will continue to follow up and reschedule them and get them on the books. Same thing if it's, hey, I like what you said, but try me back here in a couple months. We're just kind of scoping things out. The system stays in front of that. You don't have to do any prospecting. Which when I bought leads a couple years ago, not only was the cost through the roof, but that was the crappiest part of it. Like you had to call them immediately and then call them again that night and try calling them tomorrow and call them the next day, all at different times. And then you got to back off and you got to call once a week. And it's the tracking them down part was the suck part of it all. That's one of the big perks, I think, of what we're starting to create with Lead Fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, right here next to me, I have probably 3 to 500 mortgage protection leads from back in the day that just never answer the phone.
So let's talk about that for a second. Talk about mortgage protection leads because I know that's a big thing that a lot of people are doing out there, and I don't want to be negative on it. Give me your honest. It's one element I never did in my entire career. We never bought mortgage protection leads and then tried calling them on the phone to sell them life insurance. I know you've got a lot of experience with that with your agents. Tell me the good and the
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. So I started my career in mortgage protection, and I've tried multiple different lead sources from digital mortgage protection to actually inbounds. And I would say the gold standard when it comes to mortgage protection would be mail, right? The problem with it is the generations are changing. I hardly go to my mailbox anymore, maybe once a week, right? Whereas the older generation, that was the highlight of their day to go to the mailbox and see what they got that day. So it's a dinosaur. And I would say, I've been in the business for about 10 years now. I've seen the mortgage protection cost more than double. Now, what you have to be cautious of is back in the day, my source was very transparent about it, what it was. It would say, in case of death, dismemberment, disability, your mortgage will be paid for. It was very honest. Nowadays, because the cost is increasing, your lead vendors are changing things. They'll send out mail that just says, hey, urgent, call. So the client has no idea what it's about. They think it's about their mortgage. So it's really a bait and switch, and the cost is still high. You can make money really fast, but it never set well with me, if I'm going to be honest with you, that why am I selling this 40-year-old policy for $200,000 for $250 a month? Doesn't You're not doing the right thing by the client most of the time. Some clients, that's the right thing, but the majority, you can do a much better job for the client. So it never set well with me.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong on this. Here's been my one negative about it. I know lots of agencies that are growing huge. I mean, I've got some agencies that got 500 agents working for them. I mean, they're millionaires.
Yep.
I'm definitely not trying to be negative on it, but the one thing that I always thought of, and as from a negative standpoint of doing the mortgage protection, is that they're normally younger people. A lot of times you're talking with people that are 40s and 50s, which means that you've got very little cross sell potential.
True.
In my opinion, life and health insurance agents, our target market is 65 to 75 because that's where, you've got the option to sell. Not that you don't if they're 60 or 59, but you can't sell them Medicare until they're 65. There's one
Right.
reason. I should probably say 58 to 72 is probably the actual target market. But those people are healthier. They've got the money. They're getting ready to retire. So you've got annuity options, they've got life insurance options. That was my biggest problem is calling up and thinking about all of a sudden I'm talking to 40-year-olds, which are harder to get a hold of because they're working. B, they don't have the money. Most of them are living paycheck to paycheck, where all the money is in the boomers or the people that are getting about ready to retire. So it's exhausting probably for people to really follow me how much I talk about the value of cross selling, but not necessarily mortgage protection. There's a huge percentage of people having a life insurance license or health insurance license that all they sell is Medicare.
Yep.
They're living on Medicare and Medicare Advantage. And I mean, I've got one of my closest friends has a Medicare Advantage shop. And he's scared to death every year. It seems somehow he gets more and more scared as these companies start to become more non-commissionable, as that whole industry seems to deteriorate. Whether it's mortgage protection leads, it just seems scary, dangerous, and honestly, just not as high a potential if you're a product salesperson than if you're out there trying to get in front of your target market as much as you can and cross sell whatever their needs are.
Yeah. There's one thing that came to mind as you're talking about this too. The final expense game, the Medicare game, the mortgage protection game, they're all hamster wheels. Over the last 10 years, as I've watched these agents, I've had agents that can produce, ten to $20,000 a week, but they turn around and go on vacation, and now their business starts to fall off. The persistency on this stuff is not nearly as good as what we're doing, and so they fall into debt. They come back from vacation, they spend all their money on vacation, they don't have any money for leads, and the debt's just piling up, and they fall out of the business.
Ugh. And the biggest hamster wheel of all are the shops that are out there hiring anybody with a insurance license and a
Yep.
final expense.
Yep.
Because those people, their business is not selling final expense. Their business is recruiting. They know that 30, 40, 50% are going to fall out, and that's going to choke them agents out of the business. And somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 months to a year, over half of them are going to be out of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cody Askins, he's famous for his 8% nation, saying that 92% of all insurance agents fall out of the business. Well, that's because of these final expense shops.
Absolutely.
That is them. If you took that product line and those people that fall out of those shops where they learn to just sell that door to door. And listen, I know there's people successful, they love it. I'm not knocking them, but the masses that do that for a living, that's why I don't know if 92% is an accurate number. It seems like a kind of a made up guess number, but it's high.
Yeah.
Whatever the number is, it's because of those shops. You've also done, and I think this will be good education for some people in here. I know you've also got a lot of experience with doing trust seminars.
Yes. So about, I don't know, year and a half ago, somewhere in there, my previous IMO introduced me to a company that I can sell trust for, and we host trust seminars. And at the end of the day, guys, it's a Trojan horse. Let's be real. The trust itself doesn't pay too much money, but you host this seminar and you're talking about why you need a will, why you need a trust, why you need a healthcare power of attorney. You help the clients get that set up or they book appointments with you after the seminar, and you help the clients get that set up. From there, now you have access to their assets and you can start making suggestions. My first trust seminar that we did was had just about $750,000 of annuities from one seminar on that one. The
That's good.
problem I It is, it is. It was very profitable, but the problem I see with that, and it's again, works, if you have the money, great, but the problem I see is a lot of the agents entering the business don't have the kind of capital to host one of those. I spent probably close to $7,000 to get that first one going. That's a large expense, and a lot of people can't swallow that pill.
Yeah, and so I built my agency 100 years ago based on open market seminars, which was much cheaper than that. I mean, now mind you, back then you could spend $1,500 on a mailer and you'd get 80 attendees over the next couple 3 weeks. Obviously, mailers don't work like that anymore. Then we went to telemarketing and we killed it for a while with telemarketing. Just I had a telemarketing division that just filled seats for all my agents. And then all of a sudden, you know, technology came around and people started blocking those numbers. We never even got a
Yep.
hold of it anymore. There's companies out there now that you can just pay and it's cost you, I think, $2,000 to fill an open market seminar. I've had mixed results with it. Sometimes it's amazing. The seats are all full and everybody looks great and we made lots of money. And I've also had the opposite happen where you get there and there's 6 people there. I've got there where it was literally 20 plate liquors and nobody, I don't know if anybody
Yep.
had home to go to after the dinner was over. I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. I do think that there's a lot of power in public speaking, a lot of power. I mean, if I was in the game as a producer, I'd be definitely doing that to some degree because you get the aspect of group psychology. The people across the tables from you, they're shaking their head yes, and they want it.
Right.
Those are your neighbors. And there's lots of power in that. But you're right in that most of the people listen to this podcast, most of the people in our industry, they don't have a $10,000 budget monthly budget to start out for a couple, 2 or 3 months before they start actually rolling the income in.
Right. Right. The other part to those trust seminars is annuity sales cycles are already pretty long, right?
Yep.
Mortgage protection, you can get paid tomorrow. That's one of the positive things about it. But the sales cycle for annuities is longer. Now you tack on the trust seminar, you have to take that client from A to Z before you can even talk about their assets. And that's another couple weeks added to that sales cycle.
Yeah. So you're like a 90-day sales process with
Yes.
seminars.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
open market's faster than that, but you're still 8 weeks
Yeah.
before on average you're going to start seeing commissions from your sales from it.
Right.
I've said this before too, but the best is not my leads. It's not
Right.
trust. It's not open market. The best is client appreciation seminars where you already have the trust of all those people and you go in and explain to them, hey, I do other things other than Medicare, or I do other things other than mortgage protection. And you talk about, safe money options and long-term care and health
Hmm.
insurance and final expense and all those things for an hour. Thanks for being a client. Then go meet with them and cross sell everything. But those are $1 million average across the country. And I've done 130 of them over the last decade. I mean, that's the tell all be all, but you gotta have a lot of skill sets for that. You gotta have a database that's
Right.
geographically centered. You gotta at least be able to get 25 people that are geographically coming to one restaurant. And then you gotta be able to know all of the products, and then you gotta be able to be a public speaker.
You got to be
Yeah, so there's a lot of skill sets that go into that. Well, like, it's one of the so I've been doing this for, I don't know, 10 years now almost, as far as putting content out on YouTube for free. I haven't made a dollar from it in 10 years. I've mentored agents and agencies and IMOs. A year and a half ago, people don't know this already, but a year and a half ago, I actually partnered and have an IMO now. But the thing that I had that was missing between all of that, well, I think I've built a pretty good amount of credibility over the years with my channel because I've never asked for anything. I never sold anything. I just talked
right.
and tried to put good information out there, which hopefully builds some credibility. And I get agents all the time that said, all right, I've done your trainings, whether I literally trained them or they went through the YouTube channel. Now what? Now how do I get in front of people? And the big missing link was always, it used to be client appreciation seminars when it was one-on-one basis, and I could go do them for you or for them. But there's only one of me.
Right.
And so from a scale standpoint, that's why we all of a sudden these last few months have worked really hard on developing what I think is going to take over the market for advanced market stuff and selling annuities and life insurance and long-term care from your desk. And it's a different world, but my job, like we talked about earlier, is to create lead quality. And we are right now, after, and This is going to triple here over the next 3 days because we ramped up our ad spend. But right now we're at about 17 leads total, and we're at about 85% of those know that they're getting on the phone to talk to an insurance agent about equity index annuities. They've got disposable money, and I mean, they know what the game is,
Yep.
which that's the only thing I can control. Now, we're gonna do some cool things and build a community where we all can jump on a regular basis and learn from each other and hopefully develop the best sales process ever created. I'm really excited to get to that stage, but we can do it because I don't need to make the money that these lead companies make. And so, like right now, we're literally 26% of what the market is for an annuity lead. Much higher quality leads, I believe. Hopefully that sticks as we scale. If not, we'll fix it. One of the biggest things I'm most excited about is that we're creating these leads right now with a cartoon ad that explains how annuities work. And after we get through phase one, it's going to be replaced with me on there pre-selling the entire annuity and how they work and what the options and what they should be looking for before it even gets to an agent. And so I think that's gonna, I mean, God, I sure hope that I'm good enough that I can improve 1 or 2% of the lead intent when it gets to that. And it's not just annuities either. Like your boy Josh, I don't know if he told you this, but he's got $25,000 in commissions sitting in front of him on life insurance after
Yep.
doing back finder, on a big deal the other day. So I'm really hoping that these turn into financial planning leads where we're talking about life insurance, long-term care, and annuities, and continuing that cross. So heck, one of the other guys was like, why wouldn't I go back and sell them Medicare down the road too? So, you're building a client that hopefully you can go in and sell multiple policies to. You're doing it at a cheaper cost. They're uber qualified. I'm super excited, but obviously I'll say one last thing here and then I'll let you comment. I know you want to. I'm also 50 years old. I've started a handful of businesses. I know we're going to hit some bumps in the road. I mean,
Mhm.
am I flabbergasted at how great the lead quality's been on 17 leads? Yes. Do I think that when we scale to 1700 that we're not going to start finding road bumps and things that we've got to, I know that. But we're off to a good start, and I think we'll figure those problems out sooner than later.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I wanted to touch on the intent of the leads that we're talking about here. I don't know, have you ever heard of the pension leads that you can run, Jeremy?
Yeah.
You're not okay. So for a while there, my team back in the day was running those, and what that is an agency that mass mails like universities. And these clients are jumping on, and they're thinking they're reviewing their benefits. Meanwhile, it's an agent trying to sell them an annuity, trying to do rollover for them. Very bait and switch. Client has no idea. They think they work for the school, and that's just not the case. I'm not a fan of bait and switch.
Which in general is all leads systems.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I will say the appointment that I ran yesterday, this guy knew exactly what he wanted. He said, I have this amount of cash. I have this coming in. I have this extra $450,000 I want put in a MIGA and I want to scrape the interest off of it yearly. Okay. Like way more educated people. They knew exactly what was going on. They knew what the call was about. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I helped Josh out. Josh is brand new, went through 4-week training course with me. I've got 3 or 4 different levels of people doing phase one here, and Josh is brand new. But he was on the phone with a lady that I literally would have hired to be an agent. I mean, this lady was talking about NVAs, talking about surrender schedules versus charges, what the charges were for the bonus program. I mean, educated. Now, those are the easiest sales in the world, in my opinion. But the big point is that they are booking onto your calendar and they already know that they're there to talk about equity index annuities or, like you said, MIGAs or fixed annuities, as opposed to us outbounding them, getting a hold of them 5 days after they filled something out somewhere that they don't even remember doing. And on a 60% of the calls, you got to remind them who the heck you even are and why you're calling them.
Yeah. No, for sure. And actually, Jeremy, since we've been sitting here, I had another lead come in, and the automated system says some stuff, but then it says, "Do you have 15 minutes to go over a quote now?" And she says, "Yes, call me."
Wow. So you have somebody waiting for you to call you in the next 15 minutes?
When we get off of here, I'll call her.
That definitely sounds like a setup prop that we're doing for this podcast. Talk to me a little bit about your agency and what you've got going on. I mean, might as well pimp you a little bit here. And I'm definitely going to back up what you're going to say, but I think you've got something kind of cool going on that I've actually pushed a lot of agents your way. But talk for a second just about what you've got going on?
Yeah, let's talk about the history here for a little bit. A lot of the people will know Delta as me, and I'm not going to name names, but they know who he is. Very public figure. At the end of the day, we weren't working very well as business partners. Very different ideas of where we wanted to go. I approached him and said, "Hey, I want to buy you out, and or you just take it and go. I don't care." But we weren't jiving, we weren't connecting. And so that company is still going, but I am slowly dissolving it because I don't want to be associated with that name anymore. So I've opened Stonebridge Planning Group. That's my new company that I'm starting to bring agents onto. And I learned my lesson about mass recruiting. I don't want everybody. I at one point when me and my partner were really ramping, we had over 1,000 agents. And I tell you what, that was the biggest headache ever. You have 300 agents calling you a day with questions, but nobody's doing anything. They're all waiting for somebody else to do something.
Right.
So, and of course, they look at me like, well, why aren't you doing anything? Well, because I'm taking all your calls. And so I don't like that business model. As I've transitioned to the new company, I've really narrowed it down to people that I know, like, and trust, and they are willing to work and we have a relationship. I don't have to worry about roll up debt or anything like that. I know they're good people and they're going to handle it. So now I'm down to 10, 15 agents, way more profitable, way less stress. My phone doesn't go off all the time. And I can focus on personal production, which was not the case before. And I really think as a leader, you always should. But
Yeah.
there comes a point that you're spending so much time mentoring people and your schedule fills up with stuff. And a lot of it's nonsense, to be honest with you, that you lose track of that. And there was a light bulb that went off in my head and said, why am I spending so much time with this agents for $100 override here and there that's going to charge back when I could go make the same sell myself for a few $1,000s,
Well,
you know? So that's really where I'm transitioning to, is just an agency of dedicated agents that can do everything.
well, and the cool thing, I mean, so which is also AM, which is also my philosophy. Everybody's heard, 90% of all the production gets done by 10% of the agents that are out there.
Hmm.
We are really trying to create a boutique IMO. Now, we do have 4,000 agents, but a big chunk of those are call centers. Individual agents that work on my side of the fence, on the advanced marketing side, they're hand selected. And because I want to be able to help them build their practice, I want to be a free business coach to them. I can't do that with 1,000 people. I can't do that
You
with
can't.
200 people. So I think we share that same philosophy, but I also think you just missed out on the biggest advantage that your agency has. And one of the reasons why I've sent a bunch of people your way is that there's no cost. I mean, they're getting street level comp or higher. And if they need their handheld, if they need a phone call a day, if they need motivation, if they need resources, if they need training, you're there to provide it for them. But
Yep.
unlike almost all other mini IMOs, for lack of better words, that are out there, they're keeping 30, 40% of the comp. And that's the price to have that mentor, to have those resources. And you're not doing it that way. I mean,
No,
all of your agents are street or higher. And so I don't understand how everybody doesn't want to fall under that, where you get a free mentor and it doesn't cost you anything. Now, if you're a big producer that's accustomed to getting, a point over street on annuities or 3 points more on Medicare, okay, I get that. You probably don't even need a mentor.
right.
But for those people out there that, first of all, it gets lonely, even when you're good and you know what you're doing and you're by yourself, there's no osmosis, there's nobody to talk to other than maybe your marketer. Man, it gets lonely. So just being with a group, if it doesn't cost you money, I think has lots of value. And yeah, I am plugging you, but I'm being super honest when I say that. I mean, I'm not saying everybody fits into a round hole, but if you're an agent out there that is newer to advanced markets, or maybe not newer, but you're not a massive producer, you've got room for growth from an education standpoint, you want access to products or programs like what we've been talking about, the Annuity program, I think it's a great resource that you provide for, the certain agents that are out there, because it's a lonely world out there working out of your basement by yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you see me, I get bored in my office here because there's no windows. It's an office inside my garage. And so during meetings, sometimes I go outside just to get some fresh air, walk around a little bit. But on that note, boutique IMO and everything else, I would say at this moment with even a smaller agency, all of my agents are doing something. I know I'm in contact with them at least once, twice a week. Some of them are daily, and I know what they're doing. They're all working,
Yeah.
and that's rare in this business, to be honest with you.
Well, it's because of your
Yeah.
selectiveness, I've sent you 15 people, you selected 4 of
Yep.
all of them I thought were cool dudes and cool girls, so you're even more selective than I am, which is great, but that's also why every person that's ever came to work for you is still working for you.
Yeah. I believe in the long term relationships.
Hey, did I, hear you right on the phone yesterday that today's actually your wedding anniversary?
No, no.
Oh, you had
Today,
something where you had one
yeah.
day between your wife it's not your wedding anniversary.
No, it's not the wedding anniversary. My wife is actually, she's a nurse and she got hired at a summer camp that's
Oh, she's
very high end.
leaving for 3 weeks after today.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what it
Her
was.
and my son are leaving, so I actually blocked off today. She's getting her nails done right now. That's how I'm meeting with you. But her and I are out doing stuff all day because she's gonna be gone for 3 weeks.
Wow, are you gonna have so much fun the next I didn't mean that. I mean, you're gonna miss her so much the next
I've got 4 kids. She's only taken 1, so
so you're about to be Mr. Mom for 3 weeks.
yes, that's exactly right. It's
Alright,
exactly right.
so
So
everybody that just listened to this podcast, I'm gonna call and talk to you, wait a month.
no, my phone's always on me, so it's I work all the time.
Well, Zach, I'm gonna cut us off here. It's only a half hour in, but I want to bring you on regularly here for a while because we're a week into this annuity lead program, which is why we wanted to jump on and give some information to how that's going right now. We just 5x our ad spends on Monday, so by today there should be 5 times more leads coming in. We'll have a much bigger sample size in another week. 10 days from now, we've got 10 more agents coming on to do phase 2 of our test pilot. And I'm going to use you to keep coming on so you can talk about real numbers. And heck, we'll probably do one where I bring, Josh and everybody on. So there's a bunch of voices. So it doesn't sound like, me selling it. So we can see real results. And all I care about, I mean, the pricing is going to take care of itself. We're basically charging at cost, which is not $400 a lead. It's more like $40 a lead.
I'll let's put it this way, Jeremy. I know guys that spend what we're gonna spend a month in a week in mortgage protection.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, and don't make as much, and, I mean,
Yep.
obviously, you're gonna make 7, 8x on the annuities that you did on the life insurance.
Yep, exactly, with better persistency.
But we'll come back to this here soon. We're gonna do phase 1 here for another week. Phase 2, bring on 10 more agents, and then just for all of you guys that are actually following this and interested in this, you can feel to reach out to me, Jeremy Smith Academy at Gmail. But the plan is somewhere around August 1st, we will release this to the world to where everybody has access to these programs. We just want to work all the bugs out, make sure everything's smooth, systems are dialed in, and we have a really good sales process developed before we bring on everybody else that wants to partake.
Yep, absolutely.
So I appreciate you taking 30 minutes to sit and talk with us today. I'll definitely let you go spend time with your kid and your wife that are leaving for the rest of the month. But we're going to have you back on here real soon.
I'm excited. Thank you for this.
All right, Zach. Well, tell everybody how they get a hold of you if they would want to reach out to you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook, Zach Allen, but you can also shoot me a text message. I'm completely fine with that. My phone number is 609-610-6484. And then just shoot me a text message, tell me what's up, and we'll schedule a call.
Okay, beautiful. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys here real soon. Bye-bye.